old friends reunite. I missed her, she missed me, and now we're back together. The band is back together. 1, 2, 3. Hey, it's BT with Tales from a Gemini. I got my friend back. I talk about running it back with other guests, whatever, but we both were like, okay, we'll do it. And we finally made time in our busy schedules. And now I have my guest, the Purple Princess, my buddy, my friend. And she's under the weather, but she got it together for me. You know her, number 34, Miss Lissy Whitmore. How you doing, Lissy?
I'm a lot better now I'm doing this. I've been looking forward to it all week and trying to lift myself up for it. It's definitely worked.
Man,
definitely.
Honestly, that just made me feel so good because you right before she goes, I was feeling bad, but I had the podcast for my friend, and so I just appreciate you getting it together for me. Thank you so much.
No, it's my pleasure. I was honestly, I love doing podcasts, but knowing that I got to do yours a second time was like, oh my God. Yes, I love life.
Nah, thank you. I mean, honestly, I after the first one, I was on cloud 9, and I followed you the whole year as much as I could, and I was with you. And I love the last little picture you put on Twitter. I think you had a mountain climb bike that was a no-go, and I was like, oh, that you do everything. You ride everything.
I loved. Me and my dad, when I was growing up, we did a lot of cycling together. Like we cycled to and from, what is it for you guys? Like it's primary school for us, so it's below high school.
Middle school.
To and from there.
Yeah,
pretty much middle school. Like not just the one just after kindergarten. That one.
Okay, that one. Okay.
So like, I don't know. But did a lot of cycling, and then I cycle around the paddock. I use the cycling bike in the gym a lot because it's been a good recovery for my ankle. But I haven't been able to actually get out on my push bike physically. So I've just been using in the gym one. But it's a really good recovery for my ankle because of my injury second last round. But it's been a really good recovery system, and it seems to be working. I'm just trying to get myself back into proper movement of running because running was a struggle. Walking was just not out of the question, but it definitely made me not take for granted the fact that I could walk. Like it made me realize, hang on, this is a gift, like sort of thing.
Well, two things. One, I saw the ankle. It looked horrible, but you high-sided, and I was like, and there was I didn't see any video of it. So when did you know? When did you know? Like, like I mean, sometimes I think you're gonna go down. I don't know. I've never gone down on a racetrack. Yeah, but it was nasty. But okay, did it get out? I mean, when did you go? Oh, this is not gonna turn out right.
So to be honest with you, initially, so it was coming down the straight. Going towards turn 1, I was like, I'm on a good lap. I just had a really good lap. But Andy, my helper, put the board out and there was no position. I was like, have I just not qualified? Like, what is this? So I was like, right, this is ridiculous. I went into the turn and I was like, oh, this is too hot. I got the gas on and I was like, oh, this is too hot. And I literally, it happened in slow motion and really quickly at the same time.
Yes.
Like I opened the throttle, the bike, it come all the way around and I saw the white rich energy and I was like, oh, okay. Right. And then I honestly can't really piece together what happened in between because I hit my head really hard. I've got my helmet up here. Oh, come on.
Oh, I saw that.
And it come down here pretty much. The vent was off, so all of this was off and hanging down. But I didn't hit gravel until I stopped moving. So I pretty much was hitting, I went over on my head. The airbag went off mid-air because it knew that when I slammed back onto the bike, it chucked me after. And the airbag had gone off. But all I really remember is sort of laying on the floor, sort of scrambling for my breath. But from what everybody saw, like my dad saw it, loads of my friends saw it that were in other classes, I went about 6 to 10 foot in the air, or what somebody said. Somebody said 10 foot, and I'm like, no, that's mad. That's like a Christmas tree. But I went high, but I landed head first.
Oh.
And I went head, feet on like the green strip of tarmac that you're the deadly green. You're not allowed to touch when you're riding. I did that backwards on my head, feet. And I stopped moving when I initially stopped. I was in the gravel. So that's the only reason, that's the only way I touched the gravel. So there was green all over my helmet. All of my levers were green. My boots had green on them. And I just kind of remember this scrambling for my breath because my airbag was up so big and my levers were so tight. It just compressed my chest. And I was like, oh my God, I can't, like, the marshal come over and he was like, looking at me like, Lissy, you okay? And I was like, I can't breathe, man. What's going on? And he was like, and the woman come over and she just unzipped my levers. I was like, okay. And then I started panicking because I couldn't feel my leg down. And I was like, this can't be a femur. This is not a femur. Yeah. And then I tried to get up. Like I tried to waddle over to get up. And I was like, this isn't happening. I was adamant I was getting up, but they wouldn't let me get up. But they got me to the off of the track. Did you fight them?
Did you fight them though when they tried to? Like, you were trying to get up.
Oh yeah, I was trying to get up, and apparently I walked to the ambulance. I don't remember walking to the ambulance. I remember being stretchered into the ambulance, but my dad said I was stretchered, and I was told I was walked in, and I was like, okay. But we got into the med centre. It was a whole situation actually. We were in hospital, me and my helper Andy, we went to 2 different hospitals in Nottingham because the on-track x-ray showed I had a break. When I went to this walking centre, they couldn't x-ray me, so they sent me to another place. They x-rayed me and said there was no break, and I was like adamant that it's broken because there's no way it's feeling like that and looking like that and it ain't broken.
Yeah.
We went to my local when we got home. Turns out it wasn't broken. I don't think I've got it to hand anymore, but they gave me a walking boot.
Okay. Now, we're talking about your ankle or your foot?
So my ankle.
Okay.
It was, just before you get to your foot, you get the 2 bony bits on each side.
The bony bits?
Yeah, the bony lumpy bits, right? The 2 lumpy bits on the side.
Yeah, the bony bits, yes.
What happened is the muscles around it tried to pull a fleck of my bone away from my ankle. So it pulled all the muscles, but it didn't pull the bone. So I didn't fracture it, but the muscles fractured. So it was like my bone was broken without the bone breaking. It was all ligament and tissue and all that. It is a long sort of recovery. Like I did it to my shoulder before. The whole muscle recovery, you want to break a bone. It's that bad. Like you're like, I'd much rather have broken it than pulled it, because you can have operations for bones,
yes,
a few tablets and things like that, and then it's over.
Yeah.
But I take vitamins. Since I broke my arm, I've been taking vitamins since the accident so that my muscles can repair straight away. I've got creams and herbal bits for myself so that when I injure myself like this again,
yeah,
it's just okay, take some vitamins, put the herbal cream on, and then cool, that should be sorted in another 3 months sort of thing. So it's a long road to recovery, and it will be all right. But I think I was a bit crazy thinking I was gonna in fact ride 2 weeks later. I was mental.
Now, when it actually happened, man, did you even have time to get scared? I know you said it was slow motion, happened so fast, but like, do you remember being up in the air? I know you remember like, oh, this is going to be bad. Like you said, I'm coming in too hot. But did you have even time to get scared at all?
You don't really ever. So you never really get scared. I think the only time you get scared, I've only been scared twice when I've been riding a bike, like out of genuine fear. It was the 2 times I've had my accidents on my big bikes, and when I've been actually hurt. When you get hurt, mm-hmm. I call it adrenaline panic, because your adrenaline builds up so much, and then it's away from you straight away because you just stopped. and your body starts panicking because it's like, why have I stopped? Sort of thing. The first time was when I broke my arm and I was laying face down on the floor. My other helmet's up there as well. I was laying face down on the floor, and all I remember from that was just seeing like sparks and fire coming across because there was something on the guard of my helmet or something around was sparking. And then I stopped moving and I couldn't get up. When you can't move or you can't breathe, that's when you start to fear, because obviously you need to breathe.
Right.
Like that's a basic human function.
Yes.
But yeah, the only time I've really been scared was my arm when I couldn't move and I couldn't get up because all I could see was tarmac and I couldn't like move my neck or anything because I didn't want to. They told me not to. And then when I couldn't breathe, that's the only 2 times I've been really like scared. But it's not so much fear for me. Right. It might be for others, but I'm not scared.
Yeah.
I'm only scared of spiders. And spiders, thunderstorms, thunder and lightning and spiders are my only 2 fears. Motorbike riding, crashing, pain, nothing. That doesn't bother me.
So a high side doesn't bother you, but if you show you a spider, you will run and hide.
Yeah, I tell you what, I have my personal TikTok and my racing TikTok, right?
Uh-huh.
I did a TikTok the other day. It's almost at 1 million views. There was a spider in my wax melter. So in the night, if I've had it all, when in the evening when I've had it on, a spider has crawled into it. The tea light's gone out and it's dried. The wax is dried and the spider was in it. And I could see it and I was like, I wonder what this is. And I thought it was just going to be some dust or something a little bit more tame.
Did you scream? Did you scream?
There was a spider. Yeah, I literally looked over and went, ah! And I screamed. And I walked away. So I went viral because there was a spider in my wax melter, which is not even related to racing whatsoever. But
you should,
not scared of bikes.
You should spiders. Rename your team the Spider Team. Honestly, because that way you have to overcome your fear. So rename your team the Lissy Whitmore Spider Team.
No.
Seriously.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, you have to. And have a big spider on your helmet because that way you're overcoming your fear.
You say that. There's a Spider-Man helmet coming out soon from a HJC. So I actually do like it and I really want to get it. So I might get on to some sponsors about that one.
I never lead you wrong. I lead you in the right direction. Have I ever led you wrong? No. So there you go. That's how you overcome your fear. You face it head on. You face it head on.
I'll try it. I don't think the team name's going to get changed because that team name's decided and it's final. But maybe the helmet might change.
Man, I'm glad you're here. I'm still glad honestly, I'm glad you survived me. I saw the helmet on your Instagram, saw the ankle. When I heard high side, I said, oh my God. I mean, I'm obviously you're here, but I was like, oh my God. I can only imagine because everyone says when you high side, yeah, it takes the breath out of you. It's like getting hit in the chest with a baseball bat. So you're like,
I was sort of lucky because the airbag went off before I hit the floor.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of cushioned me a bit, so I didn't get too winded. Obviously, I was shocked. And honestly, the helmet looks worse than it actually is because where the whites come away, it's actually the paint coming away from the helmet. The helmets underneath the white bits are like almost unscathed. Where it's actually scratched, that's where the damage is. It looks a lot worse than it is. All of my gear looked a lot worse. Actually, my levers weren't too bad. They were just a bit dusty from where I was laying in the gravel, sort of thing. My boots, obviously, they did their job. They're fine. I'll use them next season. I've just cleaned them up a bit.
Yeah.
Because they're not damaged. Like they haven't had to cut off of me. So all the gear looked probably worse than the actual accident. But the accident would have looked quite bad, I think.
Now, were you concussed? You were concussed, obviously, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I come out the med centre afterwards and I was like, they were like, no, we're clear that you've got no concussion, but go to hospital to get a boot. I was like, fine. So I sat outside the hospitality unit at OMG and all the hospitality staff were coming out and seeing me. So I sat outside. It was quite warm. I sat outside with my foot up and then I think my dad tried to talk to me and I just was like completely just sort of gone. And then he kind of like was like, Lissy, all right? And I was like, oh, yeah. And then he didn't really understand what he said. And he said, are you okay? And I was like, no, I feel sick. I feel really sick. And they got me a glass of Lisa, who works in hospitality, she got me a glass of water. James Ellison come over and he was like, "Oh, are you all right?" And I was like, "No." And I did not feel very well.
Was it your stomach? Was it your stomach?
It was like that sort of sick. Rather than stomach sick, it was like that sort of sick.
But not head. It was just right here.
It was just sick. And I just felt really sort of disconnected.
Uh-huh.
And I was sat there and my dad went off on my paddock scooter to the med centre. And then an ambulance turned up again in the middle of the paddock. And I was like, oh, this is not good. Can we just please just stop this madness? I got in the ambulance with my dad and James and obviously myself. They did some checks. And I think they said my pupils were fine. But there was something going on. It might not have been concussion, but obviously there was something going on.
Yeah.
But just be careful, sort of thing, because you're not meant to go to sleep after you've had a concussion because it will mess with your brain or something.
Really?
And they said, for caution, don't go to sleep. Yeah, well, if you go to sleep and you've got a concussion, it really messes with you. I did it before, and I got told off by my dad. So don't do that.
Now, what happens though? What if you go to sleep after you had a concussion? What happens?
I don't know. It apparently messes with you. I don't know what happens. I think you sleep for like ages and ages and ages and ages. And it just really it makes it sort of worse and you start getting ill. I don't really know. It hasn't been explained to me properly. It's just been told, don't go to sleep when you've got a concussion. So I was like, cool. I'm not gonna try it and find out. Sort of thing. I don't fancy trying and finding out.
Well, good. Man, I'm glad you're, like I said, glad you're still here, but I feel bad. I think did it affect your parents more than you? Especially your dad, because your dad was there and he saw it.
Yeah, my dad saw it. I think that's the second time. No, liar. My dad's seen a fair few of my accidents, actually, yeah. But I think that's the biggest one because it was at a place where a lot of people saw it. So I had, obviously, my dad, my crew chief. It was quite funny. My crew chief and obviously my helper were in pit lane.
Yeah.
My crew chief's called Craig, but we call him Bubba. And he, you'd love Bubba. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
And Andy, to be fair, they're both really, really good. And they saw on the boards I was P9. So they'd from the last lap I'd done, the lap before I'd done was P9. Andy put the board out before I come around the last corner, and Bubba said, "No, bring it in, take P9 off, because if she sees P9, she's going to go like the clappers, right?" So he was like, "Right," took the 9 off and kept it out. And then Andrew took the thing over the wall. They sat there and they were looking at the thing. And I went through the sector because it's not like a tracker system. It's just based on the time that you just did around like the track outline. And I got to the next sector and I stopped. And they were like, okay. Andy peered his head round the pit wall and there I was, laying in the gravel. My dad called my mum immediately, I think. But yeah, I think my dad, I don't really know. I wasn't phased because I knew in my heart I was going to ride in 2 weeks. Obviously, didn't happen. But I think my mum and dad were mainly worried the fact that I thought I was riding in 2 weeks. So I think that's what everyone else was worried about. But no, I think it always does affect them more than it affects me.
Of
because
course.
I don't, not that I don't care, I just don't have the fear of it anymore.
Well, of course, I get it on both sides now. I'm at the point now, I understand. Like, I've been where you're at. And now I get it because, my roommate has a son who I'm really close to. And so when he's playing sports, I'm just like, or just being in general, like he'll fall or something. I go, So I know both those fears. And so when you're in it, you go, I'm good or whatever. I'll be all right. Yeah. But as a parent or as a guardian, you're scared. So like, has the conversation ever come up like, hey, let's see, maybe you want to, you still want to do this? I mean, have they ever discussed that to you? I mean, especially after this last one.
It wasn't even after the crash. I've lost 2 friends now through this.
I was going to mention that, with Chrissy.
After the first one, it was more I said it, but then Dad was like, no, you got to keep going. Because at that point, we weren't at this level.
Right.
And unfortunately, it seems more like the lower we get down the levels, the more common it's getting. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've had, 2 junior super sport? Well, not junior super sport, world junior super sports. We've lost 2 already. Moto 3s as well, in European Talent Cup. And I didn't know Hugo, but I know friends knew him. Obviously, the young Vinales as well.
Yeah.
But after losing Chrissy, my dad put his foot down and said that maybe we need to stop. And it was understandable where he's coming from. And I think it was just sort of like I think he's admitted like it was like a sort of the moment sort of, oh, that could be you, that could be you. But it could, but it isn't. Like it's very unfortunate things that happen. Like we all signed the paper. Like I say it a lot. We all signed the paper at the bottom. We accept it, sort of thing. And that's why it's very stereotypical that bikers are selfish, because we just do it. We know we're going to do it, and we know it can happen to us. But let's go, sort of thing.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that because it was like, I didn't want to ask you on, obviously online. I knew it just happened and I didn't want to, whatever. I was making sure you were okay. But I was wondering how, everybody's different, but how did you compartmentalize that? Because I know you guys were close. It's one thing when, it happened to someone in your profession and you kind of know them, whatever, but you were close to this person and it happened. And I don't know how it happened, but it happened. So how did it go through your mind ever when you got back on the bike and you have a hard time clearing it out? How did you compartmentalize that?
It was weird. Yes, I spent a lot of time with Chrissy. Well, I didn't spend a lot of time I spent some time with Chrissy. I spent a good amount of time. I mean, I think I spent almost a week total in one of the summer holidays a few years ago. We were at Cadwell for a Thundersport meeting. He said that he was going flat tracking on the Wednesday the same week. And that was the Wednesday before he was racing at an endurance event I was racing at. And in the evenings, I spent time with him and Dom at that event too. But whenever I was in the paddock, I always said hello to Chrissy. I'm closer with Dom, really, than I am to Chrissy. But then I feel like I've got that connection through Dom to him. I always say hello to Grace. I'm friendly with Grace. But it's a sort of thing that it was really weird. It was really weird because the way that I, as bad as it is, as soon as I saw there was the final announcement, as soon as I saw it, I knew it wasn't good. I was laying in bed. Obviously, it was like the weekend after I'd crashed.
Right.
And I was laying in bed. I saw it and I was like, oh, brilliant. But the difference is you see update, which is good news, and then you see statement, which is bad news. Oh. And it said statement. And I was like, uh-oh. Right. I opened it and the way it was worded was perfect because it was it. That was that. So I saw it and I hopped as fast as I could around my bed here and out the door. My dad was at work and he didn't find out till I got home, and I was sat exactly where I am now. And I had the podcast video, like how we are now. Yeah. I did a podcast with Chrissy and I had the podcast video watching our podcast together, mine and Chrissy's and Katie's and Dom's, like together. And it was really weird dealing with it because it all happened really slowly. Sort of with Ben, there was no sort of suspense. It was Ben went on a track day, and there was no post through the day. There was no. Unfortunately, he didn't get to the hospital. But with Chrissy, there was the suspense. He'd had an operation and blah 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 blah, and then it happened, and it was like sort of the acceptance was really slow.
Yeah.
But I've sort of, obviously you come to terms with it, and it comes part normal, but I wasn't as close with Chrissy as everyone thinks I was.
Yeah.
I had great times with him. I have a lot of great memories with Chrissy. I went on flat tracking days with him. We spent a few days flat tracking together as part of the patron event for Chasing the Racing. And he was always up for a chat, always smiled, always waved, and always said, don't hesitate to come down for a chat. He was absolutely brilliant, lad.
Yeah, I could tell. It was funny you said, because I wanted to. I didn't know it, but here's the funny thing about this is, I just love racing, so I think I was following him on social media, I think it was, and he always had his helmet on. And I thought it was a girl. I said, Chrissy, and it was like a couple years ago. And I go, man, that girl's doing well. I said something like that in a post. Like, I thought it was a girl. And I said something like, man, she's doing well or something. And a friend of mine whose husband is a wrench over there, she goes, hey, that's a guy.
That's a man. That's a guy.
And so I always wanted to have him on, and I wanted us to laugh about that together. And because I just could tell from his, I can just tell from a post how somebody is. And I go, man, I bet we would have a good laugh over that. And I always wanted to have him on. And I thought about that, reaching out, and man, that just kind of touched me. And then I saw that, you kind of knew him, and I was like, wow. And I just, I always wanted to know how you deal with that. Because do you shake it off and go and get back on the bike and clear your head? I know a guy. Go ahead. You
sort of have to sort of shake it off and just kind of, when I went into brands, I did it for myself. But when Ben passed away, the week after, I went on a track day, and I broke my personal best lap record, by like a second and a few seconds. I can't remember exactly. So I had to do it wanted to go out at brands and do it for myself as well as Chrissy, because I knew that if I needed to ride afterwards,
right,
to see what it was like. But it was like a weird sort of, when I did the Friday and I did that practice, I wasn't upset because I wasn't riding. I was upset because I wasn't able to do it for him. Not more than obviously the injury, but it was like an equaling factor. I couldn't ride because I was in pain. I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
I couldn't ride because I was in pain, but then I couldn't ride for him, and it was like a sort of double whammy.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's going to be more opportunities to sort of show it. We've got the 2023 plans are fully in swing. So winter testing is due to start for me very soon in the UK, because Spain, who's she? Yeah. But winter testing is due to start for me very soon.
Yeah.
In the UK, because we don't need Spain.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just glad. It's always the head, like that head space. Because I remember I was on a track day. And I had some bad news, and I had to call somebody. And I was going back and forth and trying to get things straight. And then we were called out to go in our group. And I had the worst session. Like, I went off track and this and that. And the guy was so mad at me. I said, I got you. I said, okay, from here on out, I got to not check my phone or whatever and get in the right headspace. Because it's all about especially any sport, even ping pong. You never know. Even ping pong. But especially when you're riding a motorcycle on a track, you got to get in the right headspace. And I know everybody's done it different. I know, I remember the MotoGP guys, when what happened at Mugello a couple years ago. I remember they had a big moment of silence and a big ceremony, and then the guys went out and they said it was horrible because they really couldn't get into it, and they were thinking about what happened. They just had that moment of silence. And then I know another guy who knew that person, and they took the next week off saying, I just couldn't get in that right headspace because that was a close friend of mine. So everybody compartmentalizes different.
I kind of think that the fact that I didn't ride then benefited because it was in my head all the time for that week leading up to it. Like I didn't know how I was going to react. We did the same at BSB. We had a minute silence. It was 69 second silence. Because Chrissy's number was 69, so it was a 6 minute, 9 second silence. Sorry, what? No, 1 minute, 9 seconds silence. Maths. We did that, and it was like, I'm kind of glad I didn't ride, because the head, I wouldn't be able to get into the right space.
Right.
Because I do need to, like, I take a few, like, you can ask my dad, Bubba, Andrew, any of my mates. You can ask them if you walk past the awning, I've got my orange and black headphones on, and I'm just bobbing away.
And what do you listen to? What are you listening to when you're trying to get into your headspace? When you're on a regular race week, what are you listening to?
Mostly Eminem.
What song? What song by Eminem?
I want you to guess. Actually, it's quite.
Lose Yourself.
Yes.
I knew it.
So I usually leave that one till last, till the absolute second that I'm about to go out, like till I have to put my helmet on, because that's the one. Like it's a really weird thing. Like I've got a playlist it's called Pre-Race Vibes, and it's all like really upbeat sort of. There's like got Kanye West, Jay-Z, Eminem, Post Malone, all that sort of thing. I think it's got stuff from Aurora and AU, I think. But then I have Lose Yourself on YouTube, and that is the last song I listen to, because it like flicks a switch.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't talk to me. I want to kill everything. And everything just goes sort of tunnel vision.
I love it.
And you can tell when it's been disrupted. So a few times I've had somebody, one of my supporters who doesn't know like the routine sort of thing,
right?
Who's come up to the awning, and as I'm like stretching, like I put my helmet on, my gloves, boots, everything, levers, and I'm stretching, and I'm down on the floor, like stretching like my legs out, and they've like tapped me on the shoulder, and it's as easy as that, and it's broken. But I've got quite good at it through the season. It happened at I don't know where it was actually. Somebody had done that and just tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Good luck." And I was like, "Yeah, thank you." And I was like, "Oh, for God's sake." And everything was just like broken.
Yeah.
And you can tell, because it just, afterwards, it's more that the after effect of it.
Yeah.
That it's just, I know that I wasn't sort of focused enough, but it was okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely try and, so I think Bubba said to me in the season, I think it was Thruxton, he was like scared of me.
Yeah.
Because I love Thruxton. I was like, I'm going to do really well here. And I did amazing at Thruxton. I loved it there. But he was like really scared of me. He said, no, I was like terrified to talk to you. I didn't know what to say. I was like, I'm literally a 17-year-old girl, but that's fine.
Okay, what if you were getting ready? What if you had your race face on and you were feeling good and you were listening to Eminem and you were all ready, and by some weird reason, right before you start your bike up, whoa, what if you saw a spider? What would you do then?
Oh, that'd be it. No. No, in all honesty, I would probably just stand on it and tell it to go away in a less polite way. I'd just go, see ya, and then just continue about my way.
About your way.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm going to ask you this. Because I have talked to some people, and the difference is motocross and road racing. And with women in road race, I want to know, is there a difference between the guys and the girls? Because I know you guys, it was a large division. I think you have like 35, 36 guys racing, or people racing. And I know the highest placer was, for women, was Denise Delzato. So
yeah. Was it Denise? Was it not Jamie Hanks Elliott?
Okay, yeah, it was no, Denise. Denise actually finished 22nd.
Denise was higher?
Yeah, she had 15 points and Jamie had 12.
Okay, right, because Jamie sometimes, she's in that top sort of position of thing, but Jamie, Denise. Oh God, who was it this year? So I don't know in order, but Jamie, Denise, Abs, Scarlett, Charlotte, myself. There was another one.
Now, is there?
I can't remember.
Now, is there a difference in road racing? Like, can a woman? I mean, be. Oh man, that sounds so sexist, but I want to say where everybody knows in supercross or motocross, yes, there's a difference between the strength levels. But when it comes to road racing, because like Maria has won a race in when she was in I think the Spanish championships. I know Maria won a race, and Anna won in World Super Sport 300. So is there a difference in your division, whatever, when it comes to women and men?
I think that no, there isn't really a difference. It's just that we're not as strong as the boys.
In what way though? Because it's road racing. So in what way to handle the bike? Like where does being a man more advantageous over you?
Well, I think it's the physical strength of it and their mentality that they take their brain out sort of thing. And a lot of us are like that, but I feel like sometimes. I admit myself that sometimes I kind of put my sensible brain back in and go, I'm not going to do that because that could end in tears sort of thing. But I'm taking that more out and out and out and out so that I just make more like risky passes and stuff like that. But it was proved perfectly this year at Donington, the second to last round, that we can be at the top. You just need to you have to work hard. Like I know Abs, because Abs was, I think she qualified, I want to say she was pole, but I can't remember. She was pole or third. I think she was pole. And she was proper in the running for a podium position. But I think she had a problem with she'd hurt her wrist and she had a problem with her wrist and she just dropped back the order. But again, Charlotte, at the start of the season, she put herself on pole.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So we can do it. It's just the fact that we've got to work really, really, really hard. Like that's the reason. One of the reasons I want to make it as easy for myself as possible next year. That's why I've been going to the gym every day for the past 4 or some weeks.
I was going to call you out because the last time we talked about the gym, you're like, nah, da-da-da-da. Next thing you know, I look on Instagram and you're all showing your muscles and shit. You're doing deadlifts. I go, wait a minute. Somebody said they weren't a muscle head, and that's what you're turning into, young lady. So don't give me that crap.
I wasn't a muscle head. Like I was never against the gym. Like I've been going for consistently like a good amount of sessions for as long as I've been riding.
Uh-huh.
But obviously after this season, getting a professional insight, knowing what the other boys are doing, like the superbike boys, knowing how much training they do, it's just like if I train like that, how easy is it going to be for me? So
what's holding you back from training like that, other than your ankle being all screwed up?
Nothing. I've been training like that for the past 4 weeks.
Okay, so finally let us in, because nobody to a person has ever let me in to see how do you guys actually train and what you guys actually do. It's always those quick little Instagram videos and you ask a rider. I've asked so many riders, okay, what do you guys actually do? And they just kind of play it off, but they never tell you. So is it a combination of what is it? Is it weights? Is it a lot of cardio? What exactly do you guys do?
I think I do a lot of arm and leg strength because, leg strength more predominantly because I've got weak shoulders. I can't move the bike normally. Like that's something a lot of people don't really know about me. It's because I've got 2 messed up shoulders. Like I've got really weak shoulders. My physio or my physio mum Sue, I have to go to a physio every race weekend for her to prod at my shoulders.
What's wrong with your shoulders?
Take me.
What's wrong with your shoulders?
So when I broke this one, my rotator cuff's permanently damaged.
Oh.
I won't ever be able to use it properly. I won't be able to be strong as I want to be when I'm riding the bike.
Okay.
But this one, it's just weird. Like I don't know what the problem is. I just don't have right shoulders. Like my collarbone's wonky and they're just not up to scratch. So I make up for that through my legs and my core.
Okay. Yeah.
So I do a lot of cardio. a fair amount of cardio, a lot of core, a lot of legs. But slowly now I'm sort of building up my arms.
I saw that.
My shoulders. And I'm getting a wham back, to be fair.
Try the bands. Try the bands.
Oh, yeah, no, I do that.
Okay.
I do the bands. I do dumbbells, RDLs, hip thrust, leg press, hip abduction, hip adduction.
I should be training you. I should be training you right now. I mean, I know what you need, so I think you should come over here and train, and I can get you in the gym, and you'd be ready to go. Who needs Spain?
What we could do is we could do a little documentary. You know, when I get I'm starting up doing photography and videography, and when I get my equipment, I tell you what, I'll come across and we can do a little documentary. If you want.
Here's what you do. You get your parents, you get your dad, because me and your dad are like this, and I love your dad. You get your dad and your mom to take a cruise on the cruises that I work, and we'll work out every day, and I'll put you through the paces, and you'll come back and they'll go, whoa, listen, what did you do? You go, it's a secret. And you go in and you kill those boys, and they go, wow,
it's not a secret anymore because you just put it on the podcast.
Well, listen, yeah, but you don't tell them to watch. Don't tell them to watch, and we'll make it a secret, and I'll be your secret weapon, and you'll come in, you'll be shredded, and then your mental game be so much stronger, and they'll be like, Lissy, what'd you do? You go, can't even tell you. And you go out there and you nothing but top five, podium, top five. You're in the running for the championship. That's what I'll do, Lissy. I make champions, and I'll make you a champion.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe over the winter I might have to take a trip to
Come over and take a cruise. You guys fly over to Miami and get on one of my cruises, right? That I do. It'll be warm. We'll go to nice places. I just got back from Aruba yesterday. I got back from Aruba last night at midnight. So yes, we'll work out. Maybe do a little swimming, and if your rotator cuff hurts, we'll just do a little diving, maybe a little snorkeling, or whatever. I don't know why I did this, but we'll work out, and I'll get you in shape, and that's what we got to do, and I'll do that for you.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a plan. That sounds like a plan.
So what is your weakness? Like, what do you have to work on? Not your body wise. What do you have to work on you personally to get better? I mean, like, I know that is a tough division that you're in. I know it is. So what do you have to do personally? Like, what do you think is your weakness right now? Your weakness?
I think I definitely need to be more aggressive. Like on the bike as such, definitely need to be more aggressive. Because it's a very, very competitive environment, definitely a competitive class.
Yes.
And with all the boys in it, it makes it even worse because they just bang, 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 bang straight. It's like we're changing positions every lap. And I'm definitely getting more used to that as I've gone on this season. But I need more aggression. And I'm getting there. Like that's coming with time. But this season, it is going to be a definite all or nothing. Like I'm going to be riding as hard as I can, for as long as I can, sort of thing.
Right.
But not to say I wasn't doing that last season,
right.
But this season it's getting ramped because it just needs to be ramped, sort of thing. Need to show.
So how are you going to get aggressive? Like, are you going to, and I would suggest maybe shadow boxing before you go out there. I mean, honestly, maybe for 3 to get your little up. I mean, I don't know if it works for women, but you never know. Practice shadow boxing where nobody can see you in the paddock. Little things like that. And when we used to wrestle, people used to hit us. Like a lot of wrestlers, we used to shake our coach's hand, and coach used to slap us, just slap the shit out of you. But that's what we wanted though, and that would get you pumped up because sometimes you need that. So I don't know how it is for women. I can only know you so much, but I know for me, if I'm having one of those days where I don't feel like I'm aggressive enough in what I'm doing, hey man, little things like shadow boxing, or maybe, and honestly, I'm a real firm believer in that synergy between music, like we just talked about music, and getting yourself ramped up. Maybe some harder metal, or whatever you get into, metal or rap, whatever it's harder edge, and shadow boxing, man.
Yeah. I've got to try. I'm going to try some more things next year. Maybe before I go out, properly shut myself away, like put myself in the race van or out the back of my awning so that no one can see me.
Yes.
And I'm on my own. The only person that sees me between when I get onto my bike and when I'm there is my dad, my godfather, my bike. Anybody.
Yeah.
Just anybody that comes, the chosen person that comes and gets me from when I get out of my van to my bike and I'm gone, sort of thing. but I don't think I'll ever. The music system seems to work. I'm not massively. I don't really think shadowboxing will work for me, but music is definitely the way forward for me because I like music. Yeah. I really like music. I appreciate music sometimes more than I appreciate food. So I think that's the level that I have for appreciating music.
No, I think that's great. You ever thought about self-hypnosis maybe or meditating before a race?
Meditate. I've done breathing exercises. I have breathing exercises that I use from a course that I was on the year before. No, it was last year. Mm-hmm. When I was on my own bike, when I wasn't in the team that season, I used a course by Craig Muirhead called Camino Coaching, and he did all breathing exercises, easy eights, and like little exercises to get your brains like clocked in. And I tried things on my phone, like getting a focus game. So it's like it's literally just the screen's like split in half, and you have to pick the right color with what's come up on the screen. Mm-hmm. So it just gets your brain done in. You have to do it as quick as possible because you only get a certain amount of time. But if you do it as fast as possible, it just gets your reaction up and your hand-eye coordination. You just focus straight onto it. But then my 7-day free trial ended, so I had to find another one. I had to keep finding the same app on different platforms. But then I just gave up and I just started keeping to my music. I used to do music and the focusing at the same time. So I was getting wrapped up and I was focusing.
No, it's funny you mentioned music because I really believe, and I use that for my acting and sometimes for my comedy also. It's like, because whatever it takes to get you to that place, use it. But with music, it's great because there's some song that just puts you in that mood, or like you said, that race selection, those songs for race selection. Like if I'm gonna work out, I like to start off with "Hell's Bells" by AC/DC because when I'm walking to the workout floor, it gets me ramped up. I'm gonna do it, so I do a little jump rope. Now it gets me warmed up, and then after that, then you hit the hard stuff, and that's when the workout's like bump, 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 bump. And I love everybody's different, like I think Naya Bastianini listens to like classical music, you know what I mean? So whatever it takes for you to get there, I know, but like I said, it's whatever.
It's choice.
Yeah, it's whatever what is though, because maybe he's hearing something in that corresponds with how he rides. Like he's an old school kind of guy, so he likes classical music. Who knows? Maybe the horns or maybe the strings do something. It makes him, I don't know, maybe switch gear. Whatever it takes to get you there, that's what you got to do. And so I think that's fascinating what you said about that. How it's got to be Eminem at that right when Lose Yourself comes on. That's when I'm dialed in. You know what I mean?
It's like flicking a switch. It's really strange. Because it's like when I was at college. I've left college now. I dropped out like a few weeks ago. But when I was at college, I did psychology in my first year, and it's the same sort. I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but the way that my teacher worded it, it's not the same part of the brain that initiates a panic attack, but it's the same system. So if you see something before you have a panic attack, what would trigger a panic attack? You see something that's immediately associated to having a panic attack, and it starts erupting. It's the same process. There's probably going to be psychologists going at me like, no, that's not right. But that's how it was explained to me. I'm sorry. But it's the same trigger mechanism, the same system that you see here are doing a certain thing, and it just bang, straight away you're in and focused and ready to sort of move.
How much time do you have to have after the season and to be ready where you need to be before the season starts? Like, is there a burnout period you have? Like, all right, I'm glad the season's over. Got to regroup, maybe go do something else away from bikes, do whatever. And then like, okay, I don't know if you have a training camp or whatever, get whatever, sponsors, whatever, and then like get the body where it needs to be. And then boom, I'm ready for the season.
I think you have that. It's really hard to work that out. You definitely have a burnout period. So it's like
when is that? When is that?
The end of season. So you get to do the last round of the season. You have the end of season party, which was always immense. you give it like 2 weeks and you've got that period of 2 weekends off. And then that is when, I mean, some people don't do that. Some people are just like, right, party. The weekend after, I'm going pit bike riding. The weekend after that, I'm going pit bike riding. The weekend after that. And they just track day, training, track day. And it's all the time. And I think I've given myself a little bit longer than 2 weeks because of my ankle and everything going on. But now I'm in that period of I'm training and I'm starting to, I mean, we're just sourcing our bike because me and the team have parted ways. I've got to get a new bike. I've got to get all my own equipment again. So as soon as that bike is secured and we've got it, track days, I think I'm arranging with my mate to go pit biking at some point in a few weeks. So taking the training bikes out, but I'm going to be training my body and training my bike on the bike as much as possible. And then I believe it was about, we started knuckling down and making sure everything was sorted the week before round 1. But it was different. It was weird because I think actually, you know what? I think it was 2 weeks before round 2. So you're always doing something. So I've always got my media running. At the minute, you're always doing something in the background in the winter. So if you're not riding, you're sorting your riding gear out. So my leather design's through, and that's going through to be processed and released. I'm sorting out sponsors, and I've got that Club 34 scheme running. It's going very well.
Good for you. Good for you.
You're raising the funds and sorting your gear out, ready to start the season. You knuckle down the 2 weeks before to make sure you have everything. Make sure your levers are ready. So you've got them, you've got the suit, and you've got everything ready. You've got your other gear, your gloves, your helmet, and your boots. Make sure your helmet is perfectly fitting. Make sure everything is ready. You pack it in to the trailer or wherever about the week before. Make sure everything's packed in the trailer. I think last year the year before, when we got our new race awning, we did a setup. So we took the awning out, made sure the awning was working, put the awning away, put everything in the trailer. It was ready. Took everything back out again, put it all away. Winter went, and we went and did whatever. But then you do that, everything's knuckled down. You in the week, because the first round for the Junior Super Sport, personally for us, is you go, and the Thursday you're riding. So the juniors get their Thursday practice because some of us can't go to the test because we have jobs or are at school,
yes,
or are doing other things. So we can't go to the week test. If you're lucky enough to get the day off, lucky. But I've also got parents and no transport, and I will have a job too.
Yeah.
So we are given that test day just in case. And it's also BSB sort of way of, we're making sure we can see the whole field and what we are dealing with this year.
Okay.
It was I think they've only done it the last year, and it was perfect. So they had mock race setups, mock grids, mock red flag, mocks. They don't think they did the safety car actually, but we were briefed on it, and it was perfect. But the week before the race meeting, you are literally, everything has to be ready. And it's the same all the way through the season. So if you've got back-to-back meetings, you got to make sure your stuff's ready the Sunday when you leave the other track, and it's got to be all in there, clean, ready to go. You go home, Dad goes to work, I go to work, Mum goes to work. Mum doesn't come with us, but Mum goes to work. And then you come back on the Thursday from work or from wherever, come back on the Wednesday from work, whatever we were doing. And then Thursday morning, you go to the track.
Are you excited for
Thursday, it? Thursday, setup day. You set up everything. Friday, practice and quali if you have it. And then Saturday, Sunday, racing, qualifying, Sunday racing.
Are you already excited? I mean, can you feel it yet?
I have 129 days to go until the season starts. I'm definitely not counting.
That's what I want to hear, baby. That's what I want to hear.
I'm so excited because I know this year's it's not my last shot by any means.
But do you feel the pressure? Do you feel that pressure though? I mean, that you either you put on yourself or
No, I didn't feel the pressure this year. Absolutely not. I'm determined to do better than I did last year. But last year was my first full year in British Championship. Like I can't knock what I did for my first year.
Yeah.
But last year there was a lot in my head because it was very new. Everything was very new. Even to the last round, it was all it was very weird to learn. But I can't fault anything. The team taught me a lot. I'm just grateful for the fact that I got to do it with them. But we've parted ways now. We're going forward and we're doing our own thing again, just like we did.
So what are the goals? What are the goals 2023? Racing wise.
I got taught a lesson by Craig.
Mm-hmm.
My guy that does the mental coaching. Never set a goal too high, because if you set the goal too high and it's almost inachievable, you're gonna shoot for it, miss it, and be disappointed, and you're just gonna be like, "Oh, what's the point?" If you set it comfortably and you hit it, go a little bit, just keep tuning it up a little bit. So, not aiming for points immediately. I was that close last year, but I was lucky. I was that close last year. So I'm saying I want to be top 20. This is specific, 22. Top 22.
Okay.
At least by the second round, because I've got to get used to a new bike, and almost a new setting. Like I was always taught in that course, every session, every lap, it's a different thing. You're just never the same. So
I hear you. I personally, I know, man, I'm getting a wrap up, but I personally think, and I'm not trying to discredit your man there, but I think you should set a goal really high, because even if you don't achieve that, you will achieve more than you thought you would anyway. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at that. And I hear what he's saying, and I think it's great, but I think you should set it so high that, like, even if you don't achieve, like, wow, I did all this. Like, man, who knows? Maybe you'll get a top 10. You go, I did not see that coming, but shit. The goal was to get a top 15. I mean, I look at it that way, but there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, and that's what I say.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
but I think the way that I worked out how my brain works a lot this season, having to train my brain, the way that I've managed to figure out the way that it works best for me is if I just set a goal that I know is comfortable and is achievable. If I push, if I hit the goal, it's like, perfect. And I'll stay at that goal for a meeting. Maybe at the end of the meeting, I'll go, right, another 5 places up will do. Because it's very weird. I feel like I'm not saying this is true. I have a hunch, only a hunch, that if I was smack bang on 15th properly, right?
Yeah.
If I was smack bang on 15th, and I didn't qualify 15th, I guarantee that I think I wouldn't drop too far back, because once you're in, you're in. That's the pace, and you can stick with them people, and you just completely lose your brain when you get up there. I think that's what happens, and I'm guaranteed that's going to happen to me this year. I think I'm going to get to 15th, and I'm just going to bang straight on them.
When you do that, we're going to have a part 3, Lissy, because God damn it, I never get enough.
We're going to have a part 3 anyway.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. We're going to get it in. You're going to be in the top 20. We have got to get out of here. But you know what? We are going to meet this year. In 2023, we're going to meet. Whether it's on a cruise, me working you out, or watching you get a top 15, one of the two, we're going to meet. We got to go. I got to go. Lissy, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Purple Princess. Follow her and tell them where you can find you on Instagram and TikTok.
I've got cards. Ha ha ha. So my Facebook is, you can't see, Lissy Whitmore Racing #34. My Instagram with no capitals is Lissy_Whitmore_34. My Twitter with a capital L and a capital R, Lissy Racing 34. My YouTube is Lissy Whitmore Rides, and my TikTok is Lissy_Whitmore. And there's a barcode on this, but you probably can't scan it. And that takes you to my Club 34, where you can donate £34, get entered into a raffle draw for prizes, BSB tickets, and all the like.
Yes, follow Lissy Whitmore. Me and her are like this. She's like my best buddy. I'm going to train her. She's going to be a top 15. Anyway, I got to get out of here. Lissy, thank you so much again. Great to see you, Purple Princess.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Take care of that ankle. And I'm BT with Tales from a Gemini. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting it in. And like we said about this time, you know the word. Peace.